I'm back, and I'm on this side of the camera this time. Typically, you may have seen on this channel I've been on the other side of the camera and making more of the DIY approach. So small rigs, sliders, anything like that that can kind of get you started in something that I was doing years ago. And since then, I've taken a pretty big break from YouTube and worked on my career. And I've got a lot to share throughout the years, and so I thought I'd start with this topic coming back: purchasing equipment. So there's a lot of different ways that you can purchase equipment. The first way, and most easiest probably, is cash. And I typically use cash for things like Facebook Marketplace or just a local pickup. Maybe somebody's selling something through a forum that I've seen that I can easily just drive to their location and pay in cash. It's always great if you have cash on hand from jobs that you've already booked, been paid for, and then you can use that cash to reinvest in your business. The second way of doing it is a credit card. Now, credit cards are fine, but if you're not paying those off quickly, and it's not something that you can turn around right after you get paid for a job and pay it off, you're going to be paying those interest charged. And take it from me, it's not the easiest way of going about it, but if you really want that light or you really want that lens, sometimes that's the route you'll go. The third way, and my most favorite way of doing it, is I use companies like PayPal. You can use their PayPal credit, which is 6 months, 0% financing. So as long as you pay that off within that 6 months, it's been great. And I've told a lot of people in the industry that I work with closely, go this route, because what you can do is get that lens, get that job, and move forward with using the equipment before you even pay it off. So it's basically like a loaner that you're getting to use for free for that job. And the other one that I like is Payboo, and that one is through B&H Photo. Payboo on most purchases is 12 months, 0% financing. Now that is great because you can work a full year without paying that piece of equipment off. Now, it's best to pay the minimum payments and make sure that you're paying as much as you can on it, because you do not want to get that interest accrued at the end of it. But like I tell a lot of the people in the industry I work with, it's a great way to get equipment, get moving forward, and you can get a good amount. So me personally, I got $12,600 from my first line of credit. And that was great because I was able to buy some aperture lights, I was able to buy some rigging and some other things that I needed at the time. And I didn't have to have the cash on hand to pay for that. Now, the other great thing about buying equipment ahead of time through these financing services is that you can rent it immediately. So I use a service called SHURE, and SHURE is great because what I can do is buy a piece of equipment through this financing, put it up on SHURE immediately, and then start making income on it immediately. So I'm usually looking for things that are going to be more popular in the industry, as well as things that I can use for my own productions. Let's take a look at these numbers right here and take a look at how this all balances out, because it doesn't always work out the way you hoped it would. And I want to give you one of my mistakes so that you don't go and make the same mistake. I got really hyped on the SP3s, the Cook SP3s, and I was really excited about getting them. Well, B&H would only give me $12,600 through Payboo. And then the rest of that extra almost $10,000 I put on my credit card. I thought these things were going to rent like crazy, and I was so excited about it. So I decided to put them up on SHURE immediately, and I put them up for $277. That's a single day rental. And if you know how SHURE works, they give like multi-day discounts, so you're not always going to make that exactly $277 a day. But if we were to do the math, and let's say that we spent $21,000 on these lenses, and we divided that by $277 a day, that equals 75 days that we would have to rent these out. So 75 days within 365 seems realistic, right? Kind of. It depends on the market you're in. It depends on if they're going to go out quickly. It depends on how much work everyone's getting. It depends on if the market is slow. It depends on if even people want to shoot with those lenses. So being completely transparent, those lenses have rented out probably 6 times. So if you look at that total, say it was 6 times at $277, that's only $1,662. So it was a pretty bad investment in the beginning. Now, The lenses are paid off, and I went and worked really hard on a lot of the other jobs, and I was able to pay those off. But it wasn't a great investment on that point. But I never paid interest on it. I paid in full. And Cook did get me with their special. They said if you bought their lenses at that time through B&H, they would include the RF mounts, which came the following year. I honestly think they should include the mounts just like DZO does, but that's just the way that Cook decided to do it. I always say go ahead and purchase that gear if you can, and you have the means to do it and you have the work lined up. Get it on the 0% financing. Get what you need now to take you to that next level. And it's not always going to be, I'm not going to sit here and say that the gear is going to get you these jobs. I'm saying if it makes your job easier, if it makes it 5% more efficient, then definitely go and get that piece of equipment. I personally own 6 different cameras, and they all have their use cases. So whenever I need that specific camera for that specific job, I can pull it off my shelf and go use it. They're all paid off because I worked really hard. And the same thing goes with lighting. I truly believe if you can use a light and it'll take you to that next level, and you can honestly use it throughout the next 3 to 5 to 7 jobs immediately, then get it. And get it under that financing. And in my opinion, you'll be able to pay that light off with the work that you're getting and use it while you didn't put any money down on it to start with. Everybody in this industry is going to approach it a little bit different. And some people like to just have cash on hand and use that cash to purchase the equipment they need. And that's great, don't get me wrong. But if you feel like it's going to take you 6 months to a year to even save up for that piece of equipment, then maybe it's worth getting it ahead of time and then know that in 6 months you can pay that piece of equipment off. Now there's always pros and cons to this whole thing, right? A new piece of equipment may come out, or you're not using that piece of equipment as much as you thought. Think about the lenses, the Cook lenses. I'm not using those as much as I thought, but they are in my stable of equipment and I can pull them whenever I need them. So it's great to have them on hand. And in the end, it's all about feeling comfortable with the purchases that you've made. So I'm not telling anyone to go out there and buy a bunch of equipment on financing at all. I'm saying that if you feel comfortable with it and you think it's going to make your job 5% more efficient, then go do it. So in the end, be kind to each other, be nice, and put your phone down and go be somebody.